Hello, good afternoon everybody. This is Mr. Ali at the Biomechanix Clinic. Today I'd like to introduce you to my good friend and colleague Raj Virk. Raj Virk is a very experienced MsK physiotherapist. He's been working here at the clinic with us for over a year and he does absolutely magical things with patients and musculoskeletal problems. So what I'd like to do is introduce you to Raj and ask him a few questions about himself and what he does and see what he's got to say. So, hi Raj, thanks for coming in today for this interview.
Hi Ali.
As always, we're in our PPE, so I'm afraid you can't see all of his face, but he is very handsome underneath that mask, I can assure you. Raj, do you want to tell us and the audience a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in physio, what sort of speciality you have, and a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, so I've been a physio for the last 7 to 8 years. I graduated from Coventry University. It was my second degree. Originally started with sports science and then realised I wanted to become a physio. So then went into the physio field, graduated, and originally started to work privately and then moved into the NHS. So I've been working in the NHS for about six years. Started off down Northampton way, worked there, got some very good experience and worked with some very experienced colleagues over there. And then gradually made my way back closer towards home, which is Leamington for me. So then started working towards Coventry, working locally in the NHS, became a team lead in that environment there, and then more recently, over the last kind of year, moved over to Warwick Hospital, where I've been working with some, again, very good colleagues over there, and the team lead in the Warwick Hospital. So yeah, that's kind of how the journey's kind of started and where it is at the moment. More recently, I've been undergoing my MSc in Advanced Musculoskeletal Practice and Manual Therapy. Just in my final year of that, so working through that alongside of working here and within the NHS field.
And you've also got a baby on the way, I understand.
Yeah, so a few weeks to go. So it's all going to be a big change for us, first one, so we'll see what that brings with it in the new chapter.
Yeah, that's a whole other kettle of fish, but we won't cover that just at the moment. Let's just go back a little bit. You mentioned about sports therapy. Did you do that as a degree?
So sports science I did, so I did that as a degree, so I did that at Liverpool John Moores University, spent 3 years there.
Oh, fantastic university as well,
yeah.
really good uni. And did you work in that sector or did you just do the qualification and then realise?
Yeah, so I was going through that degree, I realised actually where I wanted to go, and my kind of interest from into physiotherapy stemmed to an injury that I actually had to myself. When I was a little bit younger. I was a sprinter running for the county and sustained a knee injury and then had quite a bit of physio to get me back to where I needed to be. And the interest kind of was from there, but I wasn't really sure of where I wanted to go. The route was more thinking around the kind of sports area, so that's taking the sports science route, but then ended up going into physiotherapy and loved it ever since.
Yeah, similar story to myself. That's how I ended up in the game as well. I had knee problems and went from specialist to specialist and ended up with physios, and actually they weren't able to fix me at the time, but they put me onto a podiatrist and he was able to fix me, and that's got me started on my journey. So very, very similar story. So through your own injuries and problems, you've become more specialised in musculoskeletal treatment, or for some other people, orthopaedic conditions. So let's just list a few. General sort of neck, shoulder pains, impingements, frozen shoulders,
cuff pathologies, tendinopathies, hip issues, bursitis around there, soft tissue injuries around there, tendinopathies. Looking at back-related issues, whether that's disc pathologies or kind of radiculopathies, where there's irritation leading into nerve root kind of issues. Looking then further below and looking at the knee, which is probably my greatest kind of area of clinical kind of specialism really, and looking at kind of orthopaedic injuries around there. So you've got your ligament injuries, you've got your meniscal injuries. So I've treated a wide variety of patients from a wide variety of backgrounds, going up to elite sport, where rehabbing them back from certain injuries and also reconstructions of certain ligaments. Also worked more recently and treated a patient who's having some some great surgery which is new and it's being trialled at the moment over at the hospital here locally. through like the meniscal transplant surgery, and got great results getting them back to a great level of sport, and working with these patients is probably where my interest is. However, I have a full experience of treating all these conditions, whether it's neck, elbow, hands, whatever it may be. I've seen it and we've done it, so I'm happy to see anything.
You certainly get plenty of experience working for the NHS just through sheer volume of patients, but then I suppose you get just as... I've actually found in private practice I sometimes get more difficult, more tricky stuff than what you do in NHS, because sometimes those patients are not found the way forward in NHS and look for alternatives, and actually often have very, very chronic problems that are just difficult to treat and get through. So I don't find private stuff is easy by any means. Other people think there's a bit of a thing about that, but I think it's you can get simple stuff, but I think generally you get sort of moderate to quite complicated stuff in there.
And I think that's where that extra learning in terms of the MSc, and that's where that kind of reasoning of what you're looking at, and to be able to you might be able to pick up the easy things very quickly, but you can also then work your way to get into that complex diagnosis, and being able to use certain facilities that we have here within the practice, such as imaging and stuff, to support that. Is a really good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. As the guys know, we have Adrian here that's a qualified sonographer, and there's not many parts of the body or the anatomy he doesn't know well and can't scan and find out what's wrong with you. Just so you're aware as well, we have a couple of new gadgets arriving.